podcast you've been looking for all along. Step into the life of urban exploration with guests from around the world. Welcome to No Tracers. Welcome back to the No Tracers podcast. My name is Kay, and I am your host here on the No Tracers. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, my Instagram is no.tracers. If you want to be on this podcast, please hit me up. I would love to get more guests in 2021. I would like to do these maybe twice a week if we can get enough guests. Right now, we're doing them every Friday, which I'm content with, but I just want to keep making content, you know what I mean? So if you want to be on this podcast, please hit me up at no.tracers on Instagram or on TikTok at notracers. You can send me video links. You can send me your photos. We'll talk about urban exploring, and we'll get you on this podcast. If you're new to the podcast, please hit the subscribe button. And this episode, I also made a YouTube version of it with Gina's photos. By the way, I'm talking to DamnGina today on the No Tracers podcast. So if you want to see some of her photography from these places we'll be discussing today, you can go to the Just the Letter K YouTube channel and you can watch this podcast, basically. Before we get into it, there's a couple housekeeping things I need to let you know about. First of all, I have a book out called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary, and I would love to get you a signed copy. It is a photography book full of my explorations around abandoned places in America, a place in Portugal, a couple places in Canada, and I would love to get you a copy of it. I know that things are hard right now during COVID, but these make for great gifts, and they also look great on your coffee table. So if you guys are looking for some really cool art and you want to support what I'm doing, please head to notracers.com/shop and pick one of those up today. I also have photo prints available at justtheletterk.darkroom.tech. If you guys want to check out the links in the description, it will bring you to all of my social media. It will bring you to my book, my website, my photo prints, basically anything and everything associated with No Tracers. There is a beacons.ai link down in the description. Please go ahead and click on that. If you guys like this episode, please do me a favor and leave a rating and feedback when you're done listening to it, or at any time while listening to it, you can leave a rating and feedback, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. It really helps this podcast grow on the iTunes charts so we can get more listeners just like you. The last thing I need to let you guys know about is that we have a partner on this podcast, and if you're a human that drinks water, which is pretty much everybody that listens to this podcast, except for the few aliens we have and a couple zombies maybe. But if you drink water, please check out this ad for Liquid Death Water. We've been a partner of theirs for quite a while, and if you guys want a discount on some really amazing water, listen to this ad and then use the discount code JustTheLetterK for 10% off your order. Here's an ad for you in 3, 2, 1. From the streams of the Austrian Alps comes a new kind of water. A water that is sure to raise you from your grave. If you're tired of buying cases of plastic water bottles that contain carcinogens and God knows what else, or if you're trying to lower your waste footprint, Liquid Death comes in beautifully rugged aluminum cans. Murder your thirst with a can of Liquid Death. Check the link in the description and use code JustTheLetterK at checkout for 10% off your order. Liquid Death. Murder your thirst. So again, you can use code JustTheLetterK for 10% off your order at liquiddeath.com. There is a direct link down in the description that will apply that code for you before you check out, and you can get your discount automatically. The last thing I need to let you know about is that if you are not investing your money, you should be investing your money. If you have extra savings that are just sitting in your bank doing nothing, why don't you start investing? You can use apps like Robinhood to invest now. If you guys sign up using my affiliate code, you guys will get a free stock on Robinhood. And if you want to invest in cryptocurrency, if you guys have been noticing, Bitcoin hit over $40,000 per Bitcoin. So if you guys want to start getting into cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can join Coinbase today. You get $10 of Bitcoin when you sign up using my link in the description. Start investing today. Put your money where your mouth is and let it grow. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into this podcast with DamnGina. Gina, please introduce yourself and what it is you do to the No Tracers audience.
So my name is Gina, and urban exploring, I basically just got into as a hobby. I work during the day in special education, so this urban exploring just has come as a hobby for me, and I've been probably. I kind of go through spurts of where I find places and then I like go down a rabbit hole and then I won't explore for like months and then I'll go and just find multiple things to do for like 6 months and then I stop. So it's just something probably for like the last 5 or 6 years that I've kind of gotten into. Um, but I haven't gone outside of California because I'm not a huge traveler. I'm not a fan of flying. So that kind of is hard for me to do anything outside of California.
Gotcha. So, what got you into exploring in the first place? What made you catch this bug for abandoned and decaying things?
I think the history of it all is where it kind of started. I have always been kind of interested. I don't want to say like paranormal stuff, but like just kind of spooky stuff has always been very interesting to me. And there is an aspect of that along that goes along with like abandoned places, depending on where, where you explore. Um, and I have always been, since a child, I've been fascinated with serial killers. And so there's just, I don't know, it's just kind of, I found the first thing that I found was Downey. And that just kind of like led me to start searching for other places. And then when I saw what was out there, I just kind of just went for it. And I just started like Googling places, just like abandoned places in Los Angeles. And then I went like California and I just started to go places. And the more that I went, the more I was like, this is like the coolest thing I've ever done. Um, and then just started following some people on Instagram. I'm not like a huge social media person, but then I, started getting into more of like, oh, I'm going to buy myself a little camera. And I just got, like a starter camera. And then just started like taking, I don't post a lot of stuff. I just keep a lot of stuff just for myself. But it just kind of like started there and is just, I don't know. I've just stuck with it.
Hey, it's one of those things where once you get in and start doing it, it kind of becomes like an addiction, like we can't stop doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Like I can't stop thinking about it. Like, what's next? What's
right,
next?
right, exactly. So tell me about that first time going to Downey. And for people who are listening that may not know of it, the Downey Insane Asylum is, I've talked about it several times on this podcast because it's one of my favorite places in California to go. Can you talk about that first time going there and kind of what you experienced and why it made you fall in love with this hobby?
um, so I grew up in that area and have driven past it numerous times. And then in talking to people and talking to family about it, I found out that my mom actually used to go there when it was open, when it was, I guess there was like a nursing home section of it. And she would walk there when she was a child and she would have cookies and punch in the lobby with some of the people there.
Whoa.
And so I driven by it probably 5 or 6 times because it's huge, like it's enormous. It's like its own kind of little town itself. And I had driven by it and thought like, oh man, how do I get in there? And so finally I had went like, and it was like in the dead of summer and it was hot and I found a way in and I was just like looking around like the streets and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I have to like explore this place. There's so many options." And I really didn't come prepared that time, so I thought, "Okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get like, I'm going to plan better." A friend of mine went with me and we went back a couple times and just kind of walked around and kind of like mapped out where we wanted to go and then just kind of googled some stuff to find out like what was where because there was so many, like the place is really, really big. We went back probably, I don't know, I want to say probably 7 times to be able to explore like every building in and out that we could get into. And we've probably been, I would say, nearly in every building there. Um, and my goal was to find the morgue. And so I talked to multiple people that I met online, and there's a few pictures floating around. So I knew it existed. It was just finding it. And so finally, a friend of mine had gotten in contact with somebody that was like, hey, like he's going to show me where it's at and blah, blah, blah. So nowhere near where I thought it would be, and extremely, extremely small. It's pretty hard to get there. It took us, the first time that I tried to get in there, it took us probably 3 hours, and I almost gave up. And it was finally in the last building that I went in, we found it and got some pretty rad pictures. But the history of that place is just so fascinating to me. And there's multiple books that have been written and stuff. And it's just so fascinating how things were done back then. Just like it was like its own little city. And there's been it. I guess it's upsetting to me too because there's so much history there, and so many people have destroyed that place, like the graffiti and just fires have been set, and it's makes me so sad because it's just and now I hear they're going to tear it down. So I really want to hit it one more time just before that happens, just to see if I can get any more pictures. But that's probably one of my favorite places that I have explored.
Yeah, it sucks that, they're going to tear it down because it is so monumentous, and it was such a,
Yeah.
like, so full of history and all that kind of stuff. I would love to do like an overnight stay there with a group of people.
Oh, be amazing.
Right? Like, I
Yes.
feel like we need to plan
So amazing.
something soon because, like you
Oh,
said, they're going
I'm
to tear
so
it
down.
down. And
Um, I finally went the last time that I went because the security has just been ramped up,
it's
and
nuts.
I found like over the years, like you usually don't go like September through November because people just around Halloween time just tend to like, it's just like mass amounts of people trying to get in there. Um, and so we started going, we would usually try to go around like 3 a.m. That was like the time where there's nobody there. Security was kind of on the lower side, and you weren't like really like running from people. And I mean, I've almost got arrested at that place multiple times. Talked my way out of multiple tickets there. And but usually we went like, and it's probably not the safest time to go, but we definitely we've run into like a lot of, there's like huge cat population there, raccoons.
Yeah, yeah.
I've come face to face with some like child-sized raccoons there.
Yeah, they're
Um
crazy. I have a couple photos
yeah,
of like a family of raccoons in one of the
yes,
buildings, and dude, they're gigantic. I've never seen raccoons that big.
they're huge. They are huge. But yeah, it's a great place though.
Yeah, and it's so iconic for, California urban exploration. I think it's one of the most well-known places that you could go to as an explorer.
Yes. Yes.
Do you
For
have
sure. If you can get in.
Yeah, if you can get in. And now they have like police dogs, and like now it's just like it's crazy.
Yeah, everything is just, yeah, been really, really ramped up there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any gear recommendations as far as like backpacks or camera gear or maybe a pair of shoes, anything like that?
Honestly, I wear my Docs, my Doc Martens, um, especially in like a place like that. And I've explored places where like, there's like holes in the ceiling and it's flooded and you have to walk through water. And I've always just worn my Doc Martens, and those seem to like hold up pretty well, or like a pair of like pretty just like work boots or whatever. And I honestly, I try to carry the least amount of things as possible, especially in a place like that, because if you got to run, you got to run. and and that's why I kind of hesitated, like, do I really want to take a camera with me? Because honestly, some shots that I would get like would be on my phone, and they were almost better than my camera shots at times. And so I'm like, sometimes I don't even bring my camera. But I always just try to make sure that I have batteries, and I'm just, I don't know. I try to be as prepared as possible depending on where I'm going. Um, but no, other than that, I just wing it, honestly.
Nice. Hey, that sometimes that's the best way to go, just kind of figure it out as you're doing it. I'm trying to think of other places that we might have both explored. Have you been into the Hawthorne Mall?
No, I haven't actually. I've been really, really wanting to go there, but it's funny that the way that I found you actually was through a YouTube video a couple of years ago. A hospital that you had explored.
Ah.
Um,
Yes, that hospital.
You got super lucky.
Yeah.
But I know somebody who works there, and
Wow.
I tried to get in multiple times and have failed.
Yeah, they've really ramped up security there too. They have like full-time police department people that are just parked up
Yeah.
and posted up waiting for people. Yeah, we got so lucky. We had, for people listening, basically a security guard sent us up to the top of this abandoned hospital through the staff elevator. And so we got to explore it for like 4 hours and filmed everything we possibly could. And then we got locked out, actually. We don't know if it was that security guard, a different security guard, or supposedly there's a ghost security guard that is in that building that will lock the doors on you. So we don't know. It might have been him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was crazy, though. It was one of the coolest explorations I've ever been on. And the only way to get back in that building, the legal way, if you will, is if you get a media credential. You have to like apply through the hospital, and like, there's like all this protocol and all this stuff you have to go through. I'm trying to film a zombie parkour movie in that hospital one day, so hopefully they don't tear it down, and we can do it.
Like, I know the person, that he still works there, and he connected me with like the guy who actually runs the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Because my friend works in that building just on the lower floor,
Right.
the shipping and receiving part.
Wow.
And he just didn't, like, the guy that he connected me with just didn't understand, like, you want to go in here, why? Like, you want to do what? Like, he didn't understand. And so I'm trying to explain to him. He's like, okay, well, like, it's been deemed unsafe because of, earthquakes, and that's why we don't let people in there. So I'll contact the sheriff's department, and I'll have to get. And I was like, oh no.
You're like, nope, let's not do that.
I'm like, never mind.
Oh, I don't want it that bad. It's fine.
So that would definitely be one place that I had connections to, but still failed to get into, that I would just love to see.
Oh man, it was such a cool place. I'm so glad we got to do that. That was like in the early days of me exploring too, so it was like before it got super sealed up and stuff. Like we really did get lucky that day, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And the
I've
only
known
reason
a few people who have been lucky enough to like get in, but they said that it was a mission.
Yeah. The only reason we left when we did was, one, we got locked out, and two, I only had 4 hours of parking, so I didn't want to get my car towed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have stayed forever.
No,
yeah, we would have never left.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so do you have any urban exploration injury stories?
I don't.
Ooh,
I've been super lucky. I've fallen multiple times. The times that I have explored places like pretty dangerous, where I've had to like hop some pretty high walls, I've impressed myself, and I've done super well, which is shocking. I've fallen like, like going through windows and stuff like that, but I've been pretty lucky. I've never knock on wood, never experienced anything like really bad.
Well, hey, that's awesome. I've been pretty fortunate myself. I almost stepped on a nail once in Rhode Island, but you know, it went right between my toes.
That happens.
So, yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Okay, so tell me about your scariest exploration. And this could be paranormal, it could be running into people or a police encounter, something like that.
Well, I've encountered multiple, like I said, at Downey, I've been there's there are some homeless people there, and going at the hour that we usually go, like, you hear lots of weird things, and you really don't know. But I think probably the scariest thing that I ever did was explore the Cecil Hotel, which isn't really abandoned, but it is not open to the public. um, and that took me about 8 months to get into. Bribing security guards. Like, at one point, the security guard, every time I went back, he was just like, okay, like, I know what you look like now. Like, you need to stop coming back. Like, I'm not going to let you in. This is for residents only. They don't allow filming, picture taking, nothing of the sort. You're not allowed back in here.
Wow.
and I didn't give up. The more he told me no, the more I was determined. And I again, it goes back to my fascination with serial killers. Richard Ramirez stayed there. And I was bound and determined that I was going to explore that the whole thing I wanted to do. And so I met somebody who introduced me to a different security guard, and he was like, "Sure, not a problem. Come at this day and this time. I'll let you in. I'll take you wherever you want to go." And
Wow.
it was just way too easy. So I was able to go in there, and I explored it a couple times, and then I was just like, I'm not satisfied. Like, I need to spend the night here. I need to spend the night in I need to spend the night in the Night Stalker's room. Like, I need to be in here. So I just asked him. I was like, it's a shot in the dark. Like, hey, like, I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm not trying to put your job on the line, but, like, is there any way I could stay the night here? And he looked at me like I was insane. And he was like, I mean, I guess there's tenants that live here on the first two floors, but above, the fourth floor and above, it's empty. There's nobody here. And I'm like, well, I know. And so he's like, I mean, I guess you can. He's like, the only thing is that once you're in, you have to stay in for 24 hours until my shift comes back around the next day. Like, you can't come out. So if you go in there and you get scared, like, you can't come out because I won't be here. So I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. Like, I'm going to do this. So I took a friend with me, and we did it. I got to say, it's a little bit heavy. The energy just in the entire hotel is a little heavy. But I was able to explore from the basement. Pretty much I went in every single room there. I don't know if I'm sure everybody's familiar with the Elisa Lam story, the girl who was found in the water tank. He took me to the rooftop, to the water tanks, to the basement, to her room. He actually gave me the chair from her room. He said, he's like, you can take whatever you want to take. He said, they're gutting this whole entire place eventually, and they're just trashing things. And so he said, you can stay in any room that you want to stay in. So we chose to stay in the Night Stalker's room. And, I've never really had, like, a paranormal experience, and I feel like maybe I haven't had one because I want it too bad. But we really didn't experience a whole lot. There was a lot of noises, but I feel like, it's an old hotel. The elevators are broken, so they go up and down all night long. So you hear that banging, sirens 24/7.
Yeah, because it's in Skid Row.
On Skid Row.
Yeah.
It is creepy though, but after we left, the security guard that let me in, he called me and he's like, hey, now mind you, this kid was like about 20 years old at the time and didn't really know a whole lot of history about the hotel. He was just hired on to do security, and that was pretty much it. So he learned a lot just from like me talking to him, and like why he's like, why do you want to come in here? So he had called me about a week after we had stayed there, and he was like, Gina, he's like, I don't know. I know you said that you didn't have any experiences here, he said, but me and another security guard just had something really, really odd happen to us, and we've never had anything at all ever happen to us before. He said we were walking on the 14th floor, which is where Richard Ramirez's room was, he said. And the guy that he was with had his Snapchat open apparently. And it caught like one of the filters caught a face.
Oh, no.
And yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. So he's just like, I don't know what you opened up. He's like, but you might not have had an experience. He's like, but we just did. He's like, I will never go back up there again. And then probably about 4 months later, he quit.
Oh my God.
So
you just got scared to death.
Oh, poor thing. I still keep in touch with him. He's but yeah, him and this other guy, and he's like, we've never ever had an experience here until then.
Wow.
So
that's so fascinating. I love hearing about this kind of stuff, and I love that you like got in through like security guards, like and then they had an experience, and like that's crazy. What a crazy story.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's just a new special that just came out on TV about it, Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures, Zach Bagans or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting to watch. Him be in the same room, and they obviously experienced way more than I did, but
right.
Yeah, that's probably like paranormal wise, the closest I've gotten to anything was there.
Wow. I can't believe you stayed there for 24 hours. That's like a real like overnight kind of, that's crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh no, let me tell you, we brought a wagon full of stuff because I asked him, I'm like I'm going to have to bring stuff. Like we're going to have to eat and whatever, and thank God the room that we stayed in had a bathroom because a lot of those rooms are hostel style where you have to go like to the end of the hallway and you share a bathroom. So the room that we stayed in had like an actual shower and toilet and everything. And we brought a blow up mattress and a whole ice chest full of food.
Nice.
Yeah, we like deck because the room was pretty much empty. There was nothing in there. And so we brought all kinds of stuff. And yeah, we did we did some stuff we probably shouldn't have done. We brought a Ouija board.
Oh,
we did the whole thing. I'm just like, nice. I want the whole experience.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, that's probably not the safest thing. Like,
you're like,
look back,
we brought that Ouija board, and then we brought the ghosts out, and then the security guards saw them a week later. Good job.
And then we left.
And then you left.
Yeah, so probably wasn't the best thing, but I was like, I'm just trying to make the best of this because I'm never like nothing's ever gonna be better than that for me.
Oh yeah.
Just because I tried so hard and it took so long and I had to go through so many people, and talking to people down there isn't the easiest thing. And I even went as far as one time I just wanted pictures of the inside. I'm like, okay, I'll just settle for somebody to take a picture for me. And I bought a disposable camera and I gave it to some man that lived in there, and then he never came back out with it.
He was like, hey, free camera. Thanks.
Yeah, so I was just like, I really felt like I did good with that one. I didn't give up, and I got everything I wanted. So
wow. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Way to go to get in there. That's a huge thing. Do you have any other like favorite exploration stories from other places? I'm
trying to think. I've really only done I got to go to, but I mean, I don't think it's really open to the public, but I got to tour Rockhaven Sanitarium in, I think is it Pasadena or Glen? I don't know where it's at, but it's was like a woman's, all women's sanitarium, and that place is like a time capsule. Everything is still there, furniture, like beds. It's so interesting. Everything there, and I think just about everything, every place that I go, it's the history is what fascinates me more than anything. And if I can go somewhere like that, things have been left there, like the time capsule is just, it's the best part of it. For a long time, I was fascinated with the Los Feliz murder house. I don't know if you're familiar with that house, and the whole history of that. And I've tried to get in there multiple times too. And places like that are what is really interesting to me. I have been lately on a kick of wanting to visit an abandoned amusement park or water park.
Have you been to the water park?
I haven't. Are you talking about the one down like out towards Vegas?
Yeah.
On the way to Vegas?
Yep.
I haven't.
You got to go.
Is it because it still left? Is there still anything left?
Yeah. They're gonna tear it down soon. Somebody just bought the property, so they're actually gonna tear it down, and I think they're gonna rebuild it and try to run a water park out in the middle of nowhere again.
Oh wow.
We saw how that worked the first time.
Hit it up then.
But yeah, you got to go check it out. I go there every time I go to Vegas and come back, because I go out to Vegas for work a lot, and my mom lives out in Vegas, so I go visit her. And on my way back, I always stop there. And somebody recently took the K on the water park sign, so there's that, So now it's just a water park.
Wow.
But yeah, you can. There's the steps that led up to the main slides are still there. It's like its own structure. It's like a standalone structure with just stairs, but they took the slides away. So it's just like a sheer like drop off basically. But there's a couple of like smaller like kid slides. The lazy river's there, so if you like skateboard or know anybody that skateboards, like you can skate through the lazy river, which is cool. And then there's several like of the arcade buildings around still. There's no like games or there's nothing like that. It's basically just completely empty and covered in graffiti, but it's really cool and definitely worth the visit if you want to take like a 2-hour trip out there and go check it out.
Absolutely.
It's pretty sick.
It's so worth it.
Yeah. And like I said, they're going to tear it down soon, so I mean, might as well go see it while it's still up. And
yeah, for sure, since it's so close.
Exactly. And it's one of those like, iconic places again for urban explorers out in California to go visit, so definitely recommend that one.
I'll have to hit that up for sure.
Yeah. And then do you have any goal places, like other places you would like to go aside from like amusement parks or water parks, like anywhere outside of California that you want to go even though you're afraid of flying?
Oh, man. So many. I think just Massachusetts in itself, I would like to go. There's so many places out there. Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, like, New Orleans too is pretty fascinating to me. There's a lot of places out there. And again, that's mostly like paranormal and haunted stuff, but it's just, it's really interesting. And I think if I had the chance to go, I would probably go to one of those 3 places for sure.
Cool. Yeah. Pennsylvania's sick. If you get to go out there, Eastern State Penitentiary is one of the coolest places I've ever been. It's open to the public. They do guided tours, but they've kept it in its like abandoned state, which is really cool. So
my son's girlfriend just went there last year.
Sick.
She has family there, and she did the overnight stay there.
Yeah, so I want to get a group of urban explorers together maybe in 2021 and go out there and do an overnight stay together. I think it would be super cool. Probably people from this podcast, actually. So.
Oh, that would be really awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think if as much as I hate flying, I would do it to be able to explore places.
Oh, for sure. My thing is like I travel a lot for work, so anytime I go to a new place, I'm like, okay, let me immediately start researching where the abandoned places are.
Absolutely. You have to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and if it's for like a music video, because I'm a videographer by trade, I freelance, so if I'm traveling somewhere and it's a music video, I'm like, hey, how do you feel about setting your music video in an abandoned place? It just makes it cool, and unique. So
of course,
I think I've filmed, I don't know, 4 or 5 music videos in abandoned places, and it's always such a good time.
That's awesome.
And then if you could live in one place you've explored for a week, which place would it be?
Oh, man. Let me see. I don't know. I'd probably have to say Downey.
Yeah. It's a good one.
I would, just because there's so much there.
Yeah. It's huge. It's massive.
And every time I go back, I feel like, oh, I didn't see this last time. I didn't see this last time. And I've been there so many times, but I find something new every time I go.
It is a magnificent place. I would love to do an overnight stay there one day. I have
for
to do
sure.
it. Have to do it before they tear it down. But it's not worth getting arrested. Like, I don't want to.
No, I've come so close. Let me tell you, I've talked my way out so many times.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then my last question for you is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started exploring?
I feel like when I first started exploring, I wasn't like super safe about things. Like, I never thought twice about going alone. And I feel like a lot of times I don't know if I'm just like very impulsive, or if I'm just not afraid of a lot of things. And after I do them, I come home and I'm like, ooh, that probably wasn't the safest thing. And
story of my life.
So like, I've been so lucky that I haven't had any really, really horrible experiences. So I feel like I'm a little more safe in doing things now than I was before, because when you think of the possibilities that are out there of things that could happen, especially exploring a place in any abandoned place, you don't know what you're going to find in there. You just don't.
Yep.
But again, that's what kind of drives me to do it too, because it just, the curiosity is just never ending. It's just, it's what makes me want to go back. Like, what can I find now?
Yeah, absolutely. So if people want to see some of your photography, is there anywhere online that they can go to see that?
And you know what? I really don't ever post. I don't. I have my personal Instagram, but there's not, there's like very few pictures that I post. So no, unfortunately, there isn't.
It's all good. If you guys want to see some of the photos, I did make a YouTube version of this podcast, so you guys can go check them out over there. If you guys want to do that, I'll put a link in the description to that. But otherwise, Gina, thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing your stories with everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
All right, guys, that was my episode with DamnGina. Thank you, Gina, for coming on the podcast. This was such a cool episode. It was great to talk to somebody that lives in California, that knows about these places that I've also explored. Thank you for bringing us into the Downey Insane Asylum, the Cecil Hotel, and some of the other places you've explored. Absolutely incredible episode. If you guys liked this, please be sure to leave a rating and feedback. And like I said, if you want to check out some of Gina's photos, I've made a YouTube video with her photos and this podcast. So if you want to check that out, you can listen to the podcast again or just scroll through and see some of the photos. That will give you some context about these places that she's explored. I'll talk to you guys next week for another episode of the No Tracers podcast. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me at no.tracers. If you want to be on the podcast, hit me up there, shoot me a DM. And if you guys want to see some video content that isn't on YouTube, you can go to my TikTok, which is No Tracers. And if you guys want to get a copy of my book, go to notracers.com. Over there, you can also see my blog and some of my explorations. All right, guys, I'll talk to you next time. Stay strong, keep enduring, go out, go explore something, and remember, leave no trace.